Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2021 Mazda CX-5 Grand Touring. Up front is a 2.5 liter inline 4 and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now I'm super excited to be driving this here CX-5 for a couple of reasons, but mainly this is the Grand Touring. Now this is not the top trim level of the CX-5, but it has a lot of really good specs and options in here that I'm a big fan of. And the second reason is the fact that this is actually my parents' car, and so I have a lot of experience not only with this car, but also I personally have a 2019 Mazda 3 hatchback in all-wheel drive. So I'm going to be referencing that a lot and their previous car a lot as well, because they also had a 2018 Mazda CX-5, which is what they traded in for this. But let's get back to that 2.5 liter inline 4 under the hood. Makes 186 horsepower and 186 foot-pounds of torque. And to be honest, I've never really wanted more power out of this car. I've never driven any of Mazda's products and thought, wow, they were really significantly underpowered, besides the 2.0 liter and the older Mazda 3s. But the CX-5, I think, makes enough power. However, if you do want it, you can get a turbocharged 2.5 liter inline 4 in the CX-5 as well, and that will bump you up to about 250 horsepower on 93 octane. However, this is the naturally aspirated version, so we get the 186 across the board. Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Again, I've never really felt like it needed a dual clutch. I've never felt like it needed anything more than this 6-speed. I do have a sport mode that goes with the 6-speed automatic, and it does hold on to gears a little bit longer, especially in the Mazda 3. Less so in the CX-5. It's less aggressive in the CX-5 for sure, but man, in the Mazda 3 does it really hold on to gears, and I really like that. Last but not least, this car is all-wheel drive. However, you can still find a CX-5 in front wheel, but once you start going up the trims, they pretty much all become all-wheel drive, and I love the all-wheel drive system. I call this thing the tank in the wintertime because the all-wheel drive system is just so dang good. It's Mazda's iActive all-wheel drive. It has torque vectoring, and it's just so good. All right, sport mode here from a rolling start. I do have paddle shifters, but like, you know, from 20. There it is. And you can hear, I don't know if you can hear it, it's pretty windy. It's still holding on to that gear. Listen. That's what sport mode does. It really holds on to the gears. Really holds on to them. Like that Titanic lady on that door or whatever. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the interior. We have quite a bit to go through in here, given the fact that it is the Grand Touring. Well, in front of me, I have a digital gauge paired with traditional gauges. On the left is a tachometer. In the center is my digital speedometer. We'll get back to that. And on the right is my coolant temperature and fuel, which is all laid out very, very nice. And it all looks uniform. I absolutely love this, especially at night. When you look at the gauges, it all looks the same. It's not obvious that the center is digital and the outsides are physical. However, what you're seeing on camera, you can obviously see the outside edges of the screen. To the human eye, you actually can't see this. That's just what the camera picks up. But getting back to that center speedometer, I can change a couple of things. So right now, traditional speedometer with the radar cruise options in the center. However, I can switch it to my service due, my compass, and fuel, just the speedometer, nice, clean, and simple there. Trip A, trip B, and then we're back to the radar cruise down in the center with the speedometer on the outside. I love the customization of it. I wish I got a little bit more. However, beggars can't be choosers, of course. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have volume, mute, skip track, info. That info button is how you change that center gauge. And then my phone options. And on the right, I just have my radar cruise options. So this does come with radar cruise control, which I absolutely love. One of my favorite features of modern Mazda. I think it's actually a pretty good system. It's not perfect for sure. And when you are in like heavy rain or snow, the system does not work, but it'll tell you that it won't work. It won't like just drive you into a semi or something. So it's not a foolproof 100% system. However, it is very, very good in my book. On the outsides of that digital speedometer, I like the overall look and feel of the steering wheel. Mazda has been going to these thinner steering wheels, and I love it. I love the feeling of it. It's leather wrapped, which is fantastic. To the left of me, I have some interesting buttons. So I do have my tailgate button, which is very, very nice. I get clean access to that. Then I have an off-road mode button. Why the CX-5 has this, I'm not quite sure. This isn't really an off-roady vehicle. However, this will help you with adverse terrain. I guess if you somehow get really, really lost. Then I do have my lane keep assist on and off. Moving on to the door, we have power windows, power locks, and power mirrors. Nothing really too crazy there. And then we'll move into the center and talk about the infotainment screen. Before we get started here with the infotainment screen though, this is large. It is not touchscreen. It is not a touchscreen display where the older ones were when you were in park. The new displays from Mazda here in the 2020s are no longer touchscreen. All right, so let's talk Mazda infotainment. This is Mazda's more modern infotainment system. My parents' last CX-5 was stuck with that red bubble system that I hated with a passion. This is a little bit different, of course. So let's go up here to information fuel efficiency monitor, which is really, really nice. And you can actually have this stay on when you turn the vehicle off. So it'll give you like a trip sort of thing. Sirius XM, so this does have satellite radio as well as vehicle status monitor. If you have a check engine light or anything like this, maintenance details, things like that, this is where it will tell you. If we go back here, entertainment, I do have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, as well as AM, FM, Sirius, Pandora, Bluetooth, USB, things like that. Now, it does say USB 2 audio video. When the car is in park, if you want to put in a thumb drive or USB drive that has a movie on it, you can do that and watch it here. But as soon as you put the vehicle in drive, it cancels that and it will not allow that to happen again until the vehicle is turned off and back on again. Communication, you can hook up your phone, things like that. Navigation, this does not have the navigation package in it, so I hate this because it gives you your exact latitude, longitude, and altitude, but it just won't give you the frickin' map. It just wants you to pay for it. Let's go over here to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, I really love the look of this. Very crisp, very clear. It's sort of doing this weird checkered striping thing on camera that you don't see that in real life. That's just a camera thing. But I love the size of the screen. This is my phone in comparison to the size of the screen, if that helps out anyone. And of course, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto is fantastic. Couple things I want to note with this is the fact that I do have a Bose audio system, which is absolutely awesome, worth the extra money. I say it in all my reviews. I did not choose that for my Mazda 3, and I kick myself every day because the Bose system is really, really good in my opinion. And then one more thing I wanted to note, something you'll probably never, ever really run into, is if we go down here to settings, vehicle settings, the rain sensing wipers are found here in the center display and not on the stalk like they are in the Mazda 3. I really prefer them on the stalk on the Mazda 3 because I could turn them on and off literally at the hit of a button. But this, you have to go through the menus. You have to go to settings, vehicle settings, rain sensing wipers. It just takes too long to turn them on and off because you definitely want to turn these off when you go through a car wash, because we talked to our Mazda dealer and they said the #1 repair that they've had to do for CX-5s is people not turning off the automatic wipers, and they get ripped off in the car wash. Real quick, let's just do a backup camera test. I like it. They're pretty clear, and I do get lines. However, when I turn the wheel, nothing happens. I wish that the lines would adjust when I turn the wheel to give me some better spacing, but not the end of the world. Down below the infotainment, I do have 2 vents, which is very, very nice. And then I have my climate controls. Now, the climate controls here aren't as clean as they are in the Mazda 3, which is a little bit of a shame. However, they are still very easy to use. I have dual zone climate, I have heated seat options, as well as fan speed, where to send it, defroster, AC, all of the things that I really need in modern climate controls. Then I get a little cubby with a 12-volt outlet. Nothing too crazy there. And then we come to the shifter itself. I like the feeling of the shifter. It's pretty much shared with all the other Mazdas that are currently for sale. And to the left, like I said, I have that sport mode button, which just sharpens up the gear changes a little bit. It doesn't unlock like a secret afterburner or adjust the suspension or anything like that. It's just really for the gear changes. Then at the very bottom of the center console, I do have my parking brake, power parking brake to the left, as well as my auto holding brake, which this CX-5 does not do the annoying thing that my Mazda 3 does, which is every time you start the car, the power parking brake is automatically on, and you either have to physically turn it off yourself or buckle up and go into drive, but then it sort of lurches the car kind of weird. The CX-5 does not do that, and I'm very happy to see that. At the center, I get the controls for the center screen. Love this. Tactile feedback is fantastic. Very easy to use without taking my eyes off the road. I know exactly what I'm doing. And of course, I have my back button, music, home, navigation, and favorites. Now, to the right, this is actually where you'll find your volume control. I love the placement of this. I think it's absolutely fantastic because this is where I naturally rest my hand. However, again, comparing it to the Mazda 3, this does not feature skip track. So in my Mazda 3, I can move the volume knob left and right in order to skip track or go back. The CX-5 does not allow you to do that, which I would have really liked to have seen because that is one of my favorite features in my Mazda 3 is I could just leave my hand here and I could just click my thumb once and skip tracks. Now, granted, I do have a steering wheel button, but that's using my left hand and I don't like doing that. Again, I'm really grasping at straws here to find things wrong with this car, but that is definitely something that I noticed. At the very bottom, we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test for the first time in a CX-5, and unfortunately, the CX-5 fails. I don't believe any Mazda product actually passes the big friggin' bottle test, which is pretty much to be expected, but sad nevertheless. Then in the center console, I do have a 12-volt outlet and 2 USBs, which is nice. One of these USBs actually goes into the center radio as well, so if you don't like wires going all over your interior, you can actually plug in right there. Now we gotta talk about the seats. The seats are finished in true black Nappa leather, which I really, really like. And this was an upgrade over the outgoing CX-5 that we had. We had like the fake leather in our old one. This actually has the true leather. However, according to my parents, these seats with the seat heaters on don't get as hot as the old seats. So if you really want to toast your buns, I would go for a lower trim level with the fake leather seats. However, it's not like they don't get warm. They still get hot. It's just those last seats would get so hot, you'd have to turn it off. Like you felt like you were boiling. So these don't get as hot, probably for the better. And another big change that these seats have is the memory settings, which I absolutely love because both my parents are about 4'6". Their seat is way up against the steering wheel and I am not. Me being 6'2", I gotta move my seat back so they can keep their memory settings there, and when I drive the car, I just adjust it and they can go right back to their own settings. But with all that out of the way, let's go talk about the back seats. All right, so we're in the back of the 2021 Mazda CX-5 Grand Touring, and a couple of things to note back here. First of all, the real true Nappa leather carries on back here. My knees are hitting the front seat. However, the seat is pretty far back because of my driving position. Again, like my parents' driving position would be totally fine knee room wise. Headroom, I have actually plenty of space. Can fit my fist above my head. I'm actually 5'11", so it actually works out pretty well spacing wise. However, if you want a 3-row SUV, the new CX-9 offers 3 rows and a little bit more rear seat room if that's something you absolutely need. But again, my brother and I are grown adults. We rarely ride in the back seat here, so it's not really ever really going to be used except for my dog, which is arguably the favorite sibling. Not arguably, she is. Fold down here, I do have 2 cup holders as well as a USB charger, 2.1 amps, which is really, really nice, found in the center armrest, so you don't have to run a cord up front or have backseat occupants complaining, oh, can you charge my phone? Whatever, you don't have to do that. Let's go hop behind the seats, take a look at the cargo area, and then we'll talk about the looks. For reference, my mom's keychain has pictures of my dog instead of me and my brother, so shout out to Poppy, I guess. But speaking of the key, first of all, this has the Mazda updated key. A little bit flatter. People seem to not really like the shape. I actually like the shape of it. My Mazda 3 has the same one. Lock, unlock, things like that, of course. But press and hold for the rear tailgate to pop open. And you can actually set a memory setting as well for the rear tailgate. Now, these seats do fold down, which I'll demonstrate here in a second by pulling these. Boom, boom, just like that. These seats have been folded down, and I really like that. I can pull up here. I do get a spare tire, which is very nice. A lot of modern cars don't actually get spare tires, but I mean, look at all of this space, and those seats will go flat if you move the front seats up forward a little bit, but tons and tons of space back here. And then I do have a singular button to close the tailgate. Gives a nice loud beep. to do that, and it closes. Now, one thing before we hop back up front and talk about the exterior is the fact that this does not get the new touch panels like on my Mazda 3. You just touch the inside of the handle, it unlocks. The CX-5 doesn't get that. It still has the button system. Open it as long as the key is in your pocket. Bada bing, bada boom. Again, not hard, and when you walk away, beeps once, beeps twice, now it's locked. So, just something to note. Up top, I do have programmable garage door openers. I get 3 of them, which is nice. And I do get a sunroof, which is very nice, that I'm pleasantly enjoying. All right, so one thing I just noticed while I'm filming the interiors and exteriors, I didn't really mention it in the driving review because I didn't really think about it, is the fact that the interior of the 2021 CX-5 Grand Touring does not come with LED lights. Now, my base model, keep that in mind, base model Mazda 3 hatchback all-wheel drive came with and comes with LED lights from the factory. I think these lights just look super dated at this point. They remind me of my 07 Pontiac G6, which is not something you want to be thinking about when you're in a 2021 vehicle. And the fact that my base model 3, a car that costs 15 grand less than this car, gets the LEDs, but the CX-5s don't. Just a little bit of a miss on Mazda's part. Now, you can go to Walmart or Home Depot or whatever and get yourself some LED lights, plop them right in, and they'll be fine. I didn't mean to actually turn it off. But I just wish that Mazda took that little extra time. They have it for the Mazda 3s. Why not the Mazda CX-5s that are way more expensive? I don't know. Now we got to talk about the looks, and I really genuinely believe that this here CX-5 is, well, okay, hold on. Another CX-5. I passed 2 CX-5s. This is one of the most handsome vehicles, I think, for sale in this segment. Obviously, I think a McLaren 650 LT is more handsome than this, but for an SUV, for a family vehicle that normal people buy, I think it's really, really handsome and it looks really good. Part of those looks, I think for me, is the fact that it has the updated, nicer headlights than the base model. So this actually has LED headlights with LED running lights. They look a little bit different than the normal CX-5s, as well as they are adaptive. So when you turn the car on, they do this little adjustment, and then when you go around corners and turn, the headlights actually turn and swivel with you. This is absolutely fantastic, really cool piece of technology, and I think they look fantastic. However, I have a source from a dealership, not a Mazda dealership, but a dealership, and they got a CX-5 in with these headlights, and the headlights were broken, and the dealership just wholesaled the car. They just got rid of it because the headlights were too expensive to fix. So that is something to think about if you want to keep your car longevity-wise. You might want to go with the regular non-adaptive headlights in case they break down the road. It could be thousands of dollars. But that's just cars these days. This car is finished in crystal blue mica, which is one of the better colors from Mazda. It's a little bit thicker than their machine gray and soul red, so it doesn't chip as easily. Don't get me wrong, it's still very thin, but at least you have a little bit better of a fighting chance with this color. Now we got to talk about my thoughts overall with the Mazda CX-5. And with that, we have to talk about my parents, which is regrettable. As a 23-year-old, it's probably the last thing I want to do. And by the way, my parents are average height. They are not 4'6". I just like making fun of them because I'm taller than them. But like I keep saying, this is my parents' car. And as I mentioned at the top of the video, they leased this car after trading in their other crystal blue mica CX-5. And so, while I think it's kind of ridiculous that they found a nearly identical car, personally, I think life is too short to drive the same car over and over again. But getting past the fact that they chose the same paint color, I really think it's impressive that my parents got the exact same car. They lease these cars, so they are paying monthly every single month for these kinds of cars. They leased the old CX-5 and they're leasing this here new CX-5. And when you're paying monthly for a car, you tend to care about it a little bit more. You tend to be a little bit more nitpicky because you're thinking, what am I paying these hundreds of dollars a month for? Where when you buy a car for $1,000 off Craigslist, you could back it into a pole and you're like, I guess I have a pole-shaped dent now. And so I think it's so interesting that my parents wanted the exact same car. I think it's a true testament to how good this CX-5 is and how well it suits my family and my parents, really, because my brother and I don't really drive this car. The fact that they went back to the same exact thing again just goes to show how good their experience was with their first car. And honestly, I know I'm grasping at straws here when I say the volume knob is a little bit annoying because I can't skip tracks, and I complain about my ginormous water bottle not fitting. But like I said, that's grasping at straws. I can't find anything majorly wrong with this CX-5. The last one they had for 20,000 miles, and we didn't have a single issue besides the side trim of the seat kind of was a little flappy. And I have a whole video about that I'll leave at the end. I really, really enjoy this car. I think this car is fantastic. I think the CX-5 is really truly underrated and almost slept on, if you want to use the more modern lexicon. And it's just overall fantastic. I think the Grand Touring is also worth it because of the Bose audio system, because the nicer Napa leather, and the adaptive headlights, especially if you're going to lease a vehicle, get rid of it in 2-3 years. The headlights aren't going to break in 2-3 years. I'm talking about they're going to break in like 10 years, 15 years, or of course, if you drive it into the back of a Whole Foods. But that's it. That's all I have to say about the CX-5 is that it's so good that I don't have any more notes for it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to my parents for letting me film their CX-5, as well as give me a place to live, something to eat, and much love for the last 23 years. Hoping for 23 more. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.